Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Demanitized live stream. Okay, wait, I get this a little bit out of the way because otherwise it will cast a shadow on my face. We don't want that. That looks better. What's going on, beautiful people of the internet? How are you doing? Let me know. Usual deal. How is the quality? How is the video quality? How is the sound quality? In my opinion, it looks a little bit dark in here, huh? But you already know the dark, gloomy look that I always have on my live streams. Actually, I've got a pretty, strong lighting here shining directly in my face, but somehow it doesn't really get picked up by the laptop camera, I have the feeling, or by the YouTube live streaming program. When I check my sound and my video, which I always do before live streaming with the QuickTime player, it always gives me a nicer picture. But what can you do? We're trying our best here. How are you doing? Let me know how the quality is, please. And if you're there already, don't forget to drop a like on the stream. That's always appreciated, as you guys know, because then we get the algorithms going a little bit more, and maybe a couple more people are going to see the stream. Wow. There's been a little bit of chatting already going on in the chat pre-stream. It's going to be interesting to read that out. First, usual deal. I'm going to take my beautiful live stream receptacle. Today we're rocking the gold fossil. Who can say no to a beautiful gold fossil? I'm gonna tell you a little bit of the week that I had, man. Definitely the highlight was the outdoor route climbing adventure on the Hohe Wand, which I made a video about as well, which I called, the fight for flow, getting some flow back. Damn, it was a rough experience, man. Back on some sport climbing, some lead climbing after, I don't know, months of no lead climbing, essentially, only bouldering, only home wall bouldering, which is even less moves, because on the home wall, well, how many moves can I do? 3, 4 at max. Many people ask me whether I train endurance on my home wall. Not so far, yeah. I mean, of course, I'm aware of the fact that this is a really suboptimal terrain probably for endurance training because it's just a small wall. It's also very, it's not very wide. It's quite narrow. So I would probably have to climb up and down a couple of times, left, right. I still have to make some circuits on that wall, regarding endurance. Should I ever get motivated to train endurance on that thing? But what can I say, man? I'm not even sure whether that carries over into actual rock climbing, sport climbing endurance. It's such a different thing, And I figured this again out, after this big break. Now, when we went to the Hohe Wand, I just I had the craziest muscle ache afterwards. Although I did much harder single moves on the home wall and everywhere else, on the outdoor bouldering as well that I did. But somehow outdoor sport climbing requires a different sort of musculature, or I don't know what it is really. It's also just simply the, when I boulder on my home wall, when I hangboard on my, hangboard, when I do outdoor bouldering, all I have in my hands is essentially super crappy small holds, right? And then you get back onto this sport climbing route, 7C+. I mean, a 7C+ sport climb contains decent holes, okay, decent hand holds. They're not so small. But somehow you need a different sort of musculature for the big holes compared to small holds. And I could actually feel that once I was getting a small hold into my hand, it wasn't such big of a deal compared to when I was getting bigger holds into my hand, which is crazy when you think about it, right? The big holds pump you completely, and then you're getting onto the small holds and you're like, finally a small crimp where I can shake out a little bit. It was literally this crazy, yeah? And this reminded me back in the day when I was climbing with a pretty strong boulderer friend of mine, which I still know from training in Vienna. When I was taking him out onto his first sport climbs, he had the same phenomenon going on. He was shaking on the freakishly craziest, smallest edges. and on the big holes he got pumped as hell and he had to sit down. Yeah, and I mean, we had a look into the Prometheus, however we want to call it. Prometheus is obviously the Greek name, but I don't know what's the name in English. Probably Prometheus or something, which is a pretty detailed anatomy book series, which Mona got from her education because she's an ergotherapist. And we looked up the musculature in the forearm. And what I found interesting is that, the ligaments, the tendons, which attach at the very outmost fingertip, which attach down here, they are rather in the center of the forearm. Yeah. And then there's the tendons that go to the second part here of the fingers. And these are rather in the outer area of the forearm. Yeah. So it's really the what's the name? I already forgot the professional name of them. Yeah, and theoretically, I should know this stuff as well because we had anatomy in biology back then as well. But yeah, not in that detail anyway. But however, so there's different muscles involved, probably quite strongly different muscles involved, and in a different. I mean, obviously, when we take a hold, we always use all of our forearm musculature, right? But it's quite a different musculature involved, whether you're cranking down a super small edge or whether you're, with quite a lot of friction, take a bigger jug or something, which hits the second part of your fingers here a little bit more. Yeah. And I could feel this after this climbing day that I had a quite significant muscle ache in my forearms, probably because I haven't used this part of the musculature for such a long time, the part of the forearm musculature which is required to hold bigger holes. And this is why I got pumped super fast and super quickly, super easily. So yeah, it was fascinating to see this again. Also, of course, the flow was quite low, when you're only doing super hard moves and maybe 2-3 moves back to back on the home wall, you're not going to build up a lot of flow. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying. Flow comes on certain sport climbs, which are it's mostly endurance routes, which contain a lot of technique, not so much super precise stepping. Yeah, big holds, big footholds as well, big moves, slightly overhanging. Usually these routes can really, you can build up flow quite well on these kind of routes. If you're having super vertical, slabby terrain with super precise stepping and super small holds, well, obviously you're not going to build up a lot of flow there. There you need to slow, precise climbing, but yeah, long story short, I did not have any flow at all. I was super slow. I even forgot some beta at some point, which again taught me that beta memory is also something that can be built up, and it also can you can lose it if you don't use it. Use it or lose it is really the motto here, so to speak. What else, man? Yeah, it was just it was a great day. Okay, despite all the struggles with the climbing and everything. I mean, after all, I could send the route, which was amazing, but it was also just a great day to be out in nature finally again. We had a pretty short, actually, good weather window here in Austria, in the east of Austria at least, where we had like 12, 13 degrees even. Yeah, beautiful sunny days, and now it's getting actually back into the cold again. Yeah, it's already starting to cool down. It's raining at the moment outside. I don't know if you can hear it. It's a pretty cozy Sunday evening. It's just the perfect mood for a little live stream like that. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it actually. Yeah, just had dinner today. There's really not much more to tell. Yeah, this outdoor adventure was just amazing. And of course, today is a rest day. Tomorrow is hangboarding day, and I'm already pretty curious if when I'm doing a rest day before the hangboarding, whether I am able to hit my goal, which is sticking to the routine for 1 hour still. So we haven't still yet managed to hit that goal. Sticking to the repeater routine for 1 hour is the goal, which is going to be attacked tomorrow. Yeah, and I'm already pretty curious to see if I can manage to do it if I had a rest day today. Yeah, so that's what's interesting about that. All right. So much for the intro, I would say. I think let's answer some questions. Please also give me feedback on how the video and audio quality is, okay? Especially audio. I think I can get a little bit closer here with my mic. Let's see. Even if it's good, yeah, tell me when it's good, because that means that I did stuff right in preparing the stream, and that's also quite important. So Marcel Bonvi already asked the question pre-stream. I think Marcel already asked the question pre-stream the last stream. So he's a really diligent questionnaire here. Let's see what we have. Hey Manny, thanks for your answer last week. Yeah, no problem, man. I was thinking to incorporate the hangboard training because I was lacking on finger strength, but probably with the outdoor bouldering I will gain some strength. If you have access to outdoor bouldering, there's probably nothing better for finger strength than that. Yeah, that's what I always preach because it works just so amazingly. It worked amazingly for me as well, and I tell you something, it works for me amazingly right now as well again. Yeah, I also think that the home wall is so effective because it mimics outdoor bouldering quite well with all those small, greasy, edges, bad holds, pinches, stuff like that. Yeah, really actively to hold stuff, where you cannot use a lot of friction. That's always the important thing. I have the impression. If you can use a lot of friction, which is usually the case with bigger, the plastic holds, because they have this rough surface, which also really ruins your skin really quickly. Yeah. Then you don't have to hold on with as much force. Yeah, so that's the thing. Thanks and greetings from the Canary Islands in Spain. Wow, great place. Haven't been there so far, but I only heard good stuff. Nice. Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. Isaac Ruby says, hey Manny, love your content. Thanks, man. Thanks for the feedback, especially the analytical route climbing deep dives. A big thanks from Colorado. Greetings to Colorado from Styria, my friend. Yeah, glad to hear the analytics are appreciated. They are actually a lot of work, man. So yeah, that's why I probably will, if I do analytics in the future, I will probably upload them to my Patreon, because I have the impression that, they really don't get a lot of views because they tend to be quite long, but they are a lot of work. And the super dedicated crowd which wants to get deeply into this stuff and is not only interested in the entertainment and stuff like that, they will still get it on Patreon. But we will see how we do with that in the future. Let's see. So far, I didn't climb anything that's super technically demanding or interesting. But if that occurs again, I will definitely make more of these analytical route climbing or bouldering, for that matter, episodes. Definitely also stuff that I like doing, although it's a lot of work. Michael Punchochar is back on the stream. What's up, man? Hi, Manny. What do you do with your thumb while hangboarding, particularly using half crimp? Okay, so I have it somewhere around here, okay? So if I hold on, I have it somewhere around here. Not touching anything, not using it for holding on or anything, not using it for pinching and stuff like that. I feel that if you have it here, it kind of aids the rest of your hand in holding the formation, so to speak, of the half crimp. Yeah. This is what I do also when I do my repeaters on the 10 mil Beastmaker micro thing. I think on my 3 fingers open grip, I have it somewhere down here. Yeah, and as I explained on the pocket finger gripping technique video, it's quite a big difference whether you hold it like this or whether you actually close your pinky and your thumb down like this, okay? So instead of holding it like this, you're gonna have a lot more power holding it like this, yeah? Unfortunately, on my hangboard a little bit, I've got the problem on my 3 fingers open holds that below the one that I'm training on, there's another one. So I don't have a lot of space there with my thumbs and my pinkies, yeah? But if I would have enough space, I would do this posture. Since I don't, I kind of lean them a little bit onto the the lower edge, so to speak, yeah, which is not ideal, I guess. But yeah, what I'm gonna do, at least it's the same on both sides, yeah, so it doesn't really influence my results. But yeah, the thumb can be very active, even if it's not using a edge, even if it's not, holding an edge for that matter. The posture of the thumb influences gripping power quite a lot, I feel. Fabian Rivero, what's up, man? Hello again, Manny. Last Sunday, I asked you to wish some friends and me luck for an exam. Yeah, I remember. Well, we all nicely approve it. So thanks. Yeah, great. Hey, Marcel, I'm also in the Canary Islands. Look at that. Great climbing in Tenerife. Can't wait to go back there. Dude, I heard the same. Hamza Shoyaib says, I heard the same. I was in Tenerife when I was a very, very, like, I don't know, 5-year-old boy or something with the family. Of course, no idea about climbing whatsoever, unfortunately. But I think it's a pretty great island in general from a nature perspective, and the fact that there's climbing there as well. I should definitely visit. I also would like to visit Mallorca actually for climbing, which has a lot of deep water soloing and stuff like that. That would be amazing, man. Let's see how it goes, man. With the restrictions that are coming and stuff, it's gonna be probably a little bit more difficult to travel in the near future. But if we get a chance, maybe we can go there and have some fun. That would be really interesting. So many great places, man. You don't even need to leave Europe in any way, shape, or form. I have the impression very often there is so much climbing to discover. It's great. Completely agree, Hamza, says Fabian Rivero. Yeah, Tenerife. Hamza Shoaib says as well, hey Manny, I have a question. I've been doing max tanks for almost half a year with steady progress. That's pretty impressive right away. I think if I would do max hangs for half a year, I would have plateaued for already 4 months or something. If I get into max hangs nowadays, I'll probably plateau after 2 months. So I guess that's also having something to do with how close you are at your genetic potential already. Genetically speaking, one of my greatest weaknesses, I think, is my finger strength. Yeah, sounds super stupid, and because you can never have enough finger strength. Yeah, let's face it. But and with the peers that I usually climb with, they always tell me how crazy strong my finger strength is. Yeah, and of course I do have decent finger strength. It can't be anything. It can't be something else because after all, I can climb 8A plus 8B boulders, and I can climb like bouldery 8C plus sport climbs and stuff like that. So obviously my finger strength can't be that bad. But genetically speaking, I think finger strength is one of my weaknesses, and in a sense that I cannot just really pushing it beyond the level that I have it right now or around this area is super, super hard for me. Yeah, it feels like breaking through this barrier is just almost impossible. But anyway, we're gonna try. Yeah, we're gonna try with this really strict strategy, switching back and forth between repeaters and max hangs. Between hypertrophy and intramuscular coordination, and hopefully we can break through it that way. Yeah, but yeah, finger strength, it's really a nightmare. And something that I also have, genetically speaking, which is not ideal, is a quite high body weight to reach ratio. So with the reach that I have, with the height that I have, I should weigh something. If I wanted to be top notch, genetically speaking, I should weigh something around 60 kilos or even below that, 58, 60 kilos or something like that. What I'm weighing now is 68 kilos, yeah, which is about 8 kilograms too much. Now, of course, I could fast myself down, like, with a crazy dry fast or something, or water fast or whatever conditioning method you want to do. but then I cannot stay there for a very long time. Yeah, my body doesn't like to stay there a lot. It likes to be at 68-ish kilograms, and that's just too heavy for my height, for my reach. So these are my, genetic limitations in short. But anyway, we don't want to get too off track here. Let's go back to the question. Recently, I've noticed soreness around ring finger A2 pulley. Well, if you have been making gains for half a year, that's only natural, bro. I mean, your pulleys need time to catch up, right? It goes away after warming up. It's time to take it easy? Yes, of course, man. Yes, of course. If you feel something like this, I mean, the next step obviously would be that it also hurts during your session. And then you have to take it easier anyway. Yeah, you have to go below pain threshold anyway. So I would do it right away. Just maybe step back from the max hangs for a little time and see whether it goes away. Yeah, just keep climbing. Don't rest completely. But I mean, you don't have to push your max hangs even further if you're already feeling that something is going to be sore probably soon, right? That's kind of, challenging stuffs out. Yeah, that's kind of pushing the edge. It's not necessary. Yeah, obviously you have made the gains already to make it sore. Yeah, so that means you've earned a little bit of recovery time. You've earned a little bit of time letting your pulleys catch up. That's how I would approach it. Yeah. But of course, you can also keep pushing, and to be sure, keep pushing until it's so inflamed and swollen that you have to take it easier for sure. And even then, again, I would not stop completely. I just would keep climbing below pain threshold and climb that away. But it could be that you then need even longer recovery time. Yeah, as if you would take it easier now already. Something along these lines. Keep climbing below pain threshold, yada, yada, yada. You know the deal. Sugary Ketchup. What's up? Is that a new name? I'm not sure. Sugary Ketchup. Hey, what's up, dude? What's up, Sugary Ketchup? I'm currently projecting a V11 8A. Nice. Boulder, that is. Recently, it has gotten super cold. Minus 23 Celsius. Holy crap, where are you based? And I've been unable to put any attempts on it. Well, that I can understand, man. Minus 23 is no joke. Do you have any advice for cold weather climbing? Well, minus 23 is... that's beyond my comprehension, okay? The coldest that I have ever bouldered was minus 1 degrees. And that was actually when I sent this Salamander Low boulder, this 8A Plus there, V12 in St. Radegund, which I made the video about also. What can I say? Have a big jacket, okay? Have a thick jacket, something downy or something that can slip in and out very quickly, and also have warm boots or something that you can slip in and out very quickly. These things help a lot to keep you warm in between the attempts. Some people also have a portable, what's it called, warm ventilator or something like that. They put this stuff down and then they can warm their fingers in between attempts. I mean, I would not go so far to buy stuff like that and then carry it to the block and everything. Instead, I would just simply wait until it's a little bit warmer and do my attempts then. Yeah, I'm not this crazy. I'm not that focused on super cold conditions, also because I don't like it simply. Yeah, I had to do it because I wanted to get this boulder done and it was super cold, so I don't regret it or anything, but I'm also not a big fan of going this low with the temps. Yeah, minus 1 degrees, that was pretty much on my lowest limit. Yeah. But you know what? What's funny? If you would have asked me this question like 3-4 years ago, I would have said to you, you know what? I'm never gonna boulder when it's below 5 degrees Celsius. Yeah. And here we are. Now I bouldered in minus 1 degree Celsius. So who knows? Maybe I'm gonna boulder in minus 5 degrees Celsius in another 2 years or something. It's just like the closer you get to your limit, the more willing you are, obviously, to endure crappy conditions or crappy conditions. It's not crappy conditions, as we know. When it's cold, climbing shoes have very good friction. Your skin is very tough, very hard. It has very good friction on the rough holes. So in terms of friction, it's probably not so bad, the conditions, yeah. But in terms of suffering, it's pretty bad, and yeah, this is also a factor, right? But in terms of cold climbing, man, have some good clothing with you. Have something that you can slip in and out quickly, and then always keep warm. Okay, always keep warm. No long rest. 10 minutes rest max. Yeah, and that's only when you failed an attempt at the very last hole or something like that, which gave you a lot of warmth for that resting period. If you're failing like 1-2 and on a second move, then you've earned only a rest of maybe like 2 minutes or something, and then you have to go again, because otherwise you're gonna cool down with time. Yeah, this is at least my experience with the subject. I have to keep warm all the time, and also, at the beginning, your skin is super tough and super hard when it's cold like that. I have to really massage my skin into the climbing mode first of all, before I can even get some grip on the rock and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's not that easy. I'm also not a specialist. Yeah, I can only tell you the things that I did, which worked decently for me. But minus 23 is just too cold, man. Honestly, just wait until it's -5 or something. Zero would be better, in my opinion. I guess that -5 is also doable for some people. For me, that will be pretty hard, but who knows? Yeah, there's crazy freaks out there. I mean, you gotta be aware that the rock has these kind of temps then as well, and the rock is feeling like freaking ice. Okay, if it's -5 degrees, so you gotta deal with that as well somehow. So there's obviously no opportunity for long problems in those conditions anyway. Yeah, that's why you also cannot root climb in these conditions, because if you're making move after move on cold holes like that, your fingers are going to be ice cubes very soon. Yeah. Paul B is back on the stream. What's up, man? Thanks for letting me watch that documentary of yours, man. That was pretty fun. Hello, people. Hi, Manny. Do you still OMAD or interval fasting or something like that? If I train in the morning, I do it. Yeah. If I train, like, usually when I train on the home wall, or when I do a hangboarding session, or also when I do a outdoor bouldering session, I train very early in the morning. As I said previously, I'm just that morning kind of guy whose performance is just better in the morning. So I like to get it done in the morning. Yeah. In that case, I don't eat breakfast. I train usually until like 12, 1 or something, midday. And then I get my first meal in. And my last meal, I usually get in before 7 o'clock in the PM. Yeah. So that gives me about a 6-hour eating window or something like that on average on training days. So with a 6-hour eating window, that means it's an 18-hour fasting window. So that could be considered some sort of intermittent fasting, although I must say I don't really count that as intermittent fasting. For me, I can really feel the benefits of this kind of stuff when I go below like a 4-hour in the eating window or something like that. If I use a 4-hour eating window consistently and I keep training, I will lose weight. Yeah, because I cannot just simply keep up with the calories somehow, or I don't know what it is. I'm just in a catabolic state for too much of time to hold my weight in this kind of rhythm. Yeah. So that's what I would say when it comes to that. Do I still intermittent fast? Yes, as I said, on training days I do. On non-training days, though, on rest days, I just have a normal breakfast when I get up, yeah, which is at around like 8 o'clock or something, 8 a.m. I get a breakfast, and then again I have something at noon, and I have something at dinner usually before 7 or 6 or along these lines, yeah. And this is definitely not an intermittent fasting day then, yeah. I mean, for me now, I just don't have a project. The thing is, the big question that is always coming with these kind of subjects, right, is it healthier? Is it healthier to have a as short, as small as possible eating window. I used to promote that kind of stuff in the past as well. It feels really good when you do it. It feels right. However, if you do this, prolonged, I mean, how should I say it? It's just that I have the opinion I have the opinion nowadays that keeping your body hungry for a long time, for an extended period, is not necessarily healthy. Yeah. The same is true for fasting as well. Yeah. It's true for OMAD and it's also true for fasting. Why? Because if you keep your body hungry for a long time, and you can talk about autophagy and all that supposed benefits all you want, but if you keep your body hungry for a long time, you will also keep it under stress, under more stress than it would naturally like to have all the time. Yeah. You keep it under stress. If you're fasting, your cortisol levels, your adrenaline levels and everything like that, all these hormones, they are elevated. Yeah, they are elevated for good reason, because your body wants you to look for food. Yeah, your body wants you to actively look for food. If there's something hopping by in front of your eyes, it wants you to go after this thing. Yeah, that's why I believe that's why it puts a little bit of additional stress onto your body all the time if you're in a hungry state, if you're in a fasting state. Now, just because you're fasting, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're hungry. Yeah? There's people out there who carry a lot of body fat, and it's often reported by these kind of people that once they break through the beginner phase of the fast, yeah, the first 1-2 days, when they arrive in clean ketosis, when all of their carbohydrates are burned off, all their muscle glycogen is gone and stuff, when they arrive in clean ketosis, their hunger goes away. And I suppose that is because their body realizes, okay, you know what? We've got all these reserves. We're good. We're fine. I have never been in that position myself, because I did not carry, I never carried in my whole life this much body fat as to where I could say, okay, you know what? I've got so many reserves. I just chill now. Always when I fasted, and also always when I did OMAD, I was already pretty lean at the beginning of my experiment. Yeah. So that means if you kind of go through this initial phase, you will never completely get rid of that hunger. Your body is not stupid. Yeah. Your body is pretty smart. My body realizes quite well, okay, you know what? This is a bit of an alarming situation here. We don't have a lot of reserves, but this guy doesn't eat anything. Yeah. We gotta spike his cortisol a little bit. We gotta get that adrenaline up. This guy must go look for food. And to have your body under this constant stress of this constant high adrenaline, I think this is possibly not super healthy. Yeah. Talk all the fasting benefits you want. And the same thing goes for OMAD. Now, for OMAD, it's a little bit different, because the phase where you're hungry is a lot shorter, right? It's maybe the last 2 hours before your final meal of the day, right? And then you start getting a little bit of hunger. You start getting a little bit hungry there, and then you finally get to eat your meal, and you're satisfied again, and the body can chill again, and it can lower that adrenaline again. But still, if you not get your calories in check, and you maybe eat a little bit less one day, then you always get this little spike in adrenaline before your one meal a day, right? And I'm not sure if that's actually good, yeah, long term. Maybe traditional eating, after all, is where it's at. Yeah, I mean, these people, it's a system that it's not there for no reason, right? It's not there for no reason that we eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 3 meals a day, okay? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some people say, okay, it's impossible for me to go without breakfast. So for them, breakfasting somehow has a purpose, right? And there's the people who just need to chill at noon, at midday. They like to work in the morning, and then they like to get their noon meal in and stuff like that. So why not give them their noon meal? And then there's people who cannot possibly go to sleep if they don't have dinner. Yeah, if they skip dinner and they go to bed, they will be a little bit agitated all the time because they will be hungry and they will have a tough time sleeping. So it seems to be that all of these 3 meals serve some sort of purpose. And this is probably in the end where you will end up long term. Yeah. That's how I see it. Now, that doesn't mean that OMAD is not a powerful tool for conditioning for climbing, just as well as fasting is a very powerful tool for conditioning for climbing. Yeah. But to go so far to say that it's super healthy, super long term, it is much more important what you eat during these eating events than what's the timing and stuff like that. Yeah, but this is it's a super deep topic and super interesting topic. I can only say at the moment, again, what I'm doing is kind of a half and half approach. On half the days, I do a 16-hour fasting window, and on half the days, I just eat 3 meals a day. Yeah, that's how I do it at the moment. If I would get to a project now, okay, if fate threw a project at me, which I don't have at the moment, at least not one that's dry at the moment. But if fate threw a project at me and I would need to get that done, amazing freaking 9A route or something, and I just can do all the single moves, and I know I just have to be 5 kilos lighter for this stuff, then I would go for it. Yeah, 1 meal a day for 1-2 weeks, and I'm there. Or just simply fasting for 5 days, and I'm there. Yeah, it's a super powerful tool. Again, it's also a tool that has to be used with caution. There is actually a film has been coming out recently. Did you notice that? I think it's called Light or something, Being Light or something like that, where climbers talked about their eating disorders and stuff like that. Because of course, as a climber, also as a competition climber, light just gives you the edge, you know. So it's only natural that there's gonna be people pushing those limits, yeah. And it's not healthy. It's not necessarily healthy. Shoram says, hi, the video and the audio are perfect. That's what I want to hear. Great to hear. Thanks for the feedback, Sean. Video and sound is good. A bit dark as usual. Yeah, we're rocking the gloomy look as usual. Arlasse2, what's up, man? Gotta say, I'm a little bit tired today. Let's see how long we're going today. Rein Bruinseraide says, are you having some interesting microscope projects at the moment? Microscope projects. Actually, nothing at the moment. Nothing at the moment. I looked a little bit. I don't know if I can tell that publicly, actually, but yeah. The Mona and the little kid are already sleeping in the back here, maybe. So I can tell you that I looked at baby stool a little bit because it was I mean, at the beginning, yeah. Now I don't do it anymore, but because it's always the same. But it was pretty interesting at the beginning. You would suppose that, for example, the first baby stool that comes out, which is called the meconium, I think, there should be no bacteria there, right? It should be sterile because baby hasn't really eaten anything so far. But there's bacteria in there, actually. There's bacteria in there, which was fascinating for me to see. And also you can see a lot of bacteria going on, when one start eating breast milk and stuff like that. Also, just microscopying breast milk itself is also pretty interesting because it's raw milk, right? And there you can actually see all the little fat vesicles and stuff like that in there, which is quite a fascinating look, actually. Which you can also see, by the way, on raw milk that you can buy from the directly from the farmer. At least this is possible here in Austria, thankfully. I know that in a couple of areas on the world it's actually forbidden to sell raw milk because the supposed contamination dangers and yada yada yada, which are, in my opinion, negligible at best. Yes, these were some pretty interesting microscopy projects. At the moment, I don't really have anything, I have to say. It's not used a lot at the moment. But yeah, I like geeking out on this kind of stuff, bacteria and so on and so forth. It's interesting. Paul B says, do you climb barefoot outdoors as well? No, not at all. I don't think that a lot of the stuff that I climb nowadays, also the outdoor bouldering, it would not be possible barefoot. For example, the Salamander Low boulder, that would not be possible barefoot because you have to use a super sketchy heel hook, which is never gonna stick without climbing shoe rubber. Yeah, on the right you've got heel hook there. In combination with heel hook, you only are able to hold this undercling, and without a climbing shoe, no chance. And also the small footholds on the starting. You've got these two super small edges on your hands, and there you have to step just super small micro footholds. Stuff like this is just not possible to step without a climbing shoe, in my opinion. And even if it would be just super painful and much harder than it had to be. Yeah. So it doesn't really make sense for me, at least on the climbing that I am climbing on when I'm climbing outdoors. Gotta be honest, I couldn't really think of anything that I climbed in the past which would be doable without climbing shoes. Let me think. Not really. Yeah. It really depends on the size of the footholds, I guess. The smaller the pebbles are and the more friction you need, the less suitable it is for barefoot climbing. Hamza Shoaib says, hopefully not near my genetic limit. I'm climbing a roughly V6 right now, but I've gone from body weight on Beastmaker 2000 small edges to plus 30 kilograms. That's both handed, I guess. That's good. In lockdown, so no idea how this progress will show on actual rock. Yeah, I mean, don't expect too much. That's what I can say right away, because yeah, my finger strength is pretty good at the moment as well. But as I said, on rock, sport climbing, having a lot of finger strength is one thing, but being able to apply this finger strength on rock is another thing. Yeah, you gotta also have the specific endurance. You gotta have the flow. You gotta have the precision. Yeah, so don't expect too much. But if you're bouldering, I think with bouldering it's a little bit more simple. Finger strength, pure raw hangboarding finger strength will probably translate into outdoor bouldering a little bit better than into outdoor route climbing. Yeah, which makes sense. Bouldering in this sense is just a little bit more simplistic sport. Arla Setu says, I just had my first winter climbing around 0 degrees Celsius and loved it. Friction was much better than in summer. Yeah, that's for sure. And I didn't freeze as long as I just moved around a bit. You gotta keep moving. For me, that's the case, definitely. If I stop moving, I'm cooling down, and then I'm just getting freezing cold fingers. Paul B says, the other day I listened to Wolf Dieter Storl. Who's that? And he said we sweat on our hands because that gives us better grip in the trees. Does it really? Also, especially when we stressed to flight. True. Man, that's an interesting assumption, I must say, an interesting theory. But I can't really think of how it would impact our grip on trees. Really, why should we have better grip when the hands are sweaty? I don't get that really. But the sweating on fingertips is quite interesting. Yeah, why do we sweat on our hands a little bit more than on the rest of our body? Maybe it is the trees. Who knows? But it's definitely an interesting question. Alasetu says, are you training for 159 on the campus board? Do you think it would be useful? At the moment, I don't have access to a campus board, so I cannot really train campus moves at the moment, which is unfortunate. Maybe I could use some dynamic training, yeah, because I haven't done this stuff for a lot of time. Would I go for the 159? It really depends on the distance of the rungs. Yeah, it's going for, certain numbers like this is one thing, but you also got to consider the distance of the rungs actually. On my old campus board that I trained on in Vienna, a 159 would be beyond my genetic limit. Would be super hard there because I really struggled with the 147 already there. I finally could get it done after a lot of training, but the 159 on this campus board would be definitely out of my genetic reach, I think. However, on a campus board with when the rungs are closer together, who knows? Yeah, maybe I could do it. Maybe it would be useful. Hard to say. I could definitely use some dynamic work at the moment because, as I said, I have no campus board available at the moment. At the moment, all the training that I have is quite static. Is on the hangboard and on my home wall, which although there are quite a couple of dynamic and pretty cool dynamic moves, I think, dynamic problems. Most of the moves are still static, because the holds are just so bad. And this just is, I mean, we're not in font here, we're not in the, I don't know, magic wood where we have a lot of dinos and stuff like that. This is here, there's a lot of limestone bouldering, a lot of this pegmatite bouldering. It's just mostly cranking down and locking off small crappy holes like that. Not so much dynamic stuff. So this is what I'm going for with this kind of training wall here. I want to be strong in this kind of terrain. But more dynamic stuff could be useful. It's always useful to climb dynamically. Kind of saves energy. Depends on the climb, obviously. Some climbs really force you to climb non-dynamically, actually. Paul V says, "You're welcome. I also have The Way of the Psychonaut about Stan Grof at Czech. For me, the interval fasting comes naturally." Yeah, it depends also on what you eat. If you're on a very high carb diet, a lot of carbs, a lot of simple sugars, maybe lots of fruits and stuff like that, then fasting is really the opposite of what you want to do. You always want to run after your blood sugar, essentially, on a high carb diet, right? You got to keep that blood sugar up, otherwise you're going to crash. And that's why usually people on a more carnivorous diet, on a more high fat diet, seem to do very well with these kind of approaches. Intermittent fasting, OMAD, maybe skipping a day, do a 48 here and there. They seem to handle it a lot better than the carnivorous crowd. And for me, at the moment, I eat everything. And fasting for me a little bit on my training days is not an issue at all. But fasting all the time without a purpose, without a purpose like that, I mean, you gotta understand, I really have, everything is fine with me. I don't have any sickness or disease or stuff where I wanted to get rid of that stuff with autophagy or I don't know. I don't have any particular problems. At the moment, I don't even have any particular projects that I would need to be light for. So I don't really have any purpose for fasting at the moment. I don't have no health issues. I don't know. It's just like, why would I starve myself? I also know what I have to eat to not run into this blood glucose issue, into this kind of carbohydrate issue where you're chasing your blood sugar all the time. I know that I have to incorporate at least some animal foods all the time so that they keep me satiated, they keep me satisfied, for a longer period of time. What can I say? For me nowadays, fasting and OMAD and all this kind of stuff, it needs a purpose. And if I don't have that, then I just run with the flow. I just go with the flow. I just go with my hunger naturally. And that means 16-hour fasting window, half of the days, and the other half, 3 meals a day. That's what I'm doing on average nowadays. Felix Hess says, let me just see here. Hi Manny, a question about hangboarding grip type. Is the ultimate goal of hangboarding that you are exactly as strong on the front 3 open than on the 4-finger half crimp, same hold size? No, not at all. Or is it normal that there is a difference between these grip types? For me, that's completely normal. And I think it's also going to be normal for my whole climbing career. My three fingers open grip was weaker than my half crimp throughout my whole climbing career. Yeah. And I don't think that's ever going to change, to be honest. If my probably even if my 3 fingers open gets a bit stronger, my 4 fingers open would go up in strength as well simultaneously. Yeah. And then they would always be apart a little bit. Same thing, by the way, I think is true for the disbalance between left and right. Yeah, my right arm is quite a bit stronger than my left arm regarding finger strength. It's about 5 kilograms of holding power difference, yeah, which is quite significant. Again, I've built a couple of symmetrical problems on my training board. I sent both of them. I always try to send both of these symmetric problems, both versions of the same boulder symmetrically, to try to see, what kind of impact it has, my disbalance, on my climbing, but not necessarily to get rid of that disbalance. And frankly, I think it doesn't get rid of the disbalance. Yeah, it building symmetrical problems on my home wall did not get rid of my asymmetry regarding power, regarding finger strength at all. There is no difference. It's just interesting to see how much it can impact you. Yeah, on certain problems, it impacts me a lot, and that's always useful to know. Yeah, when you meet something like this on the outdoors and you're thinking, okay, yeah, that's because that's my anti-style. Well, then you're not as depressed if it takes you a lot of effort to send this problem. Then you know what I'm saying. But symmetrical problems did not get rid of my symmetry, and I think that even if you then try to train one grip type more so that it catches up with your stronger grip type, that also really doesn't get rid of the disbalance there. Yeah? I think that we are just genetically more drawn to a certain grip type, whether that is the 4 fingers half crimp or the 3 fingers open. There seem to be these two camps of climbers. Some seem to fall into place with the 3 fingers open much better and much more, and some are just more down with the 4 fingers half crimp. For example, I am the 4 fingers half crimp type of guy. I would also be a very full crimpy type of guy, yeah? But I self-limit myself to not full crimp, at least indoors when I'm training, because I don't feel that this has a lot of purpose. It just takes away stress from my forearm, which is where I want to have stress during the training, right? I don't want to have it in my joints and tendons and everything. I want to have it in my forearm. That's where it belongs during training, at least. I mean, on the outdoors, it's a different story. We always want to sand on the outdoors, and all weapons are allowed to sand on the outdoors. Let's just get that straight. But training, it's a little bit different. But there seem to be these two crowds. One guy seemed to be just a lot stronger on 3 fingers open, and they take everything openly. It's just fascinating to see how that works. And the other people are just stronger on the 4 fingers half crimp. And I tell you something, there is certain holds which you just cannot hold on the 3 fingers open. Yeah. So even the 3 fingers open crowd has to at some point adopt a certain ability on 4 fingers half crimp or even the full crimp to hold certain holds out there. And which holds are those? Just simply those that are freakishly small. Yeah, small freaking micro edges. You're not going to hold them very well on a 3 fingers open grip. You need the full crimp for this kind of stuff, or at least the half crimp. Yeah, this is my opinion. And vice versa, the 4 fingers half crimp crowd at some point should learn how to take bigger, rounder holds openly. Yeah, a lot of people crimp these things down as well, just because they are so used to their grip type. But this is actually, from a pump perspective, for example, not very efficient. If you're crimping everything on your way up a 30-meter route, you're gonna be pumped a lot quicker than if you were able to alternate grip types throughout these 30 meters. Try it out. It's a significant difference. Yeah, and this is why it's useful to have more grip types in your repertoire. But trying to equalize them for the sake of having equally strong grip types, I don't think that's necessary or useful. It's just a lot of effort, and maybe it's not paying off anyway then afterwards. Yeah. Paul B says, Dan Groff is a Czech doctor, psychiatrist. I forgot the doc. Okay, yeah. And what does he study? Or, I mean, what's the way of the psychonaut? What's a psychonaut? So he discovers new areas of the psyche or something. Chili Chat is back on stream. What's up, man? Apparently, intermittent fasting increases your lifespan. There is an interesting video by Veritasium about it. It's called "How to Slow Aging and Even Reverse It." Yeah, I mean that's what you hear commonly, right? That's what you hear commonly. I think there is a difference between intermittent fasting on one hand and just constantly overeating on the other end. Yeah, I think that's what's creating problems down the line. If you're constantly overeating on a very, very high eating frequency, also the quality of the stuff that you're eating. If you're eating potato chips like 5 times a day, well, that's gonna age you like crazy. The freaking oxidated plant oils and salt and rancid carbs and everything, that's gonna age you like crazy. However, if you're in the same eating window, instead of having 5 meals, you place 3 proper meals and you have a nice breakfast, maybe some raw fruits with a little bit of raw milk, having a nice muesli or something like that. And then at noon, you have maybe another raw meal or maybe something lightly cooked, a little bit of ham and eggs or something. And then at night, you've got a proper dinner. I don't know what some meatballs with potato puree or something like that. Just hearty, traditional, properly cooked foods like that. I'm not sure whether that really ages you. Yeah, I mean, there's people living crazy long, good lives on these sorts of foods, just going with this kind of routine. Yeah. And a lot of them even eat bacon and eggs for breakfast. So it really seems to be that, for me, it looks like you also have to meet your nutritional requirements in terms of a micronutrient thing. Yeah. And just it seems to be that animal products seem to serve this purpose really well, to keep you satiated so that you don't have to keep eating all the time. Yeah. And that's why I say usually it's the carnivorous crowds, the ketogenic crowds who are able to go longer distances without food because they are satisfied. If you've eaten like a pound of steak or something, well, of course, then you're gonna sit down and chill for a while because you're just freaking satisfied with that stuff. Yeah, maybe you can't even see it anymore for some time, which only makes sense. Yeah, because this stuff is very nutrient dense. It also has a lot of fat, a lot of cholesterol, all this really satisfying stuff. Yeah. But yeah, with the aging and everything, you really gotta be careful there with what has the bigger impact? The constantly high adrenaline because you're starving yourself a little bit, or is it the constant stress of the overload of food? And here also food quality plays a huge role, obviously. Yeah, the plant oils are bad, the sugars are bad because they kick you into this sugar addiction, and then you're riding the sugar roller coaster all the time. Yeah, you gotta snack all the time. Then snacking is definitely to be avoided. This is, unless you want to put out an extreme amount of body weight, some like let's say you're a pro bodybuilder or something like that, and you gotta eat 6 times a day to keep your mass on, to have this constantly high insulin level. But probably these guys also inject insulin themselves. Yeah, they inject human growth hormone and whatnot to achieve this kind of size. So that's not healthy either, as we know. Yeah. 3 meals a day, man. 3 meals a day, traditional stuff. Yeah. That's what I would roll with these days. Michael Punchochar says, at baby stool. I know there's a difference between vaginal birth and C-section, that in the former, the baby acquires some microbiome via passing through the vag. With C-section, the stool might be sterile. That's interesting. That's interesting. So maybe that's what I saw then, yeah? Maybe that's what I saw. Because I definitely saw some bacteria there, some moving bacteria, yeah? Which is pretty cool that you can actually see that with a microscope. I mean, that's amazing. But yeah, that's interesting. True. I mean, we had a just normal birth, everything natural, so to speak. Really no major complications or anything. Yeah. And I saw some bacteria in the first tarry, dark stool of the little one. Interesting. Thanks for the input. Average Climber says, "Hi Manny, what do you think about farting in public?" Well, I mean, and how often do you fart in front of Mona? Bonus points if she answers. Yeah, she's already putting the little one to bed, Let me think about that. I think we are already beyond that point in our relationship where if it happens, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We can live with it, yeah. We can live with it. But I gotta say, I mean, it also depends on what kind of gas production you have going on, yeah. Actually, what's interesting, if we want to get into detail with that kind of stuff, I mean, why not? You ask tricky questions, you get tricky answers. Back in the vegan days, of course, as a vegan, you got a lot of gas production going on down there. You're eating a lot of fiber, you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, and this kind of stuff, that kickstarts fermentation in your gut, and fermentation is essentially the source for these gases. But they don't smell. Yeah, interestingly enough, on a vegan diet, which is, yeah, I mean, I always found that interesting. Yeah, it's not smelly at all. And therefore, well, you can pretty much fart in public, no problem, yeah, because nobody notices it anyway. Nobody notices. So now then, okay, realizing veganism is not the holy grail, yada yada yada. We wanna get back onto a healthy track, get some healthy fats in, get some healthy body fat going and everything. Trying the carnivore thing. Interestingly, on the carnivore thing, same thing. Of course, there's a lot fewer gas carnivore diet because there is all the fiber removed. You're eating hardly any carbohydrates. I mean, if you're doing carnivore with, let's say, raw milk here and there and stuff, then you get some carbohydrates. And some people claim to have severe digestive problems with milk on carnivore. I mean, I did not have this issue. But of course, there's some gas still. And on carnivore, no smell. Yeah, no smell. Again, interesting stuff. No smell on carnivore. The smell comes when you mix stuff together. Yeah, when you mix stuff together like crazy. For example, if you're mixing like fruit and animal products or stuff like that. Yeah, so if you're mixing this kind of fermenty stuff with this animal producty stuff, I mean, these things go down different chemical reactions, I think, in your digestive tract, and if that interferes with each other, interesting topic that we're talking about here, but I think if that interferes with each other, then you're getting some smelly stuff going on. Yeah, and of course, then you got to be a little bit careful with the public stuff and with your GF or your BF or whatever you have. Yeah, but definitely interesting, and it will also be quite interesting to me, for example, if you constantly have these problematic gas production going on, the smelly gas, the foul, smelly, not so ideal stuff, if that is not a symptom, actually a sign that you might be building a problem down the line, digestively speaking, yeah, some sort of, all kinds of problems that you can have in your digestive tract, like colon stuff or whatnot. Yeah, that would be interesting. I think that all problems start in the gut. The chronic, speaking of chronic modern illnesses and stuff like that, yeah, especially also all the cancers and stuff. I think that these problems predominantly start in the gut, and then from there on, they begin hijacking the residual chemical reaction of your body. Yeah, but the things start down there in the gut. And probably depends on what you eat, first of all, and then it depends also what kind of biome you have down there. And there it actually can be that you are lucky, for example, and you never catch something bad. And then it can be also unlucky and you catch something bad. And even then, if you're eating all the perfect foods and you have something bad going on down there, it might not really help that you're eating all these great foods, yeah, because these guys down there are making something with it that burdens your body somehow, if that makes sense. But that's actually, you know what? If I would have kept on with studying biology and stuff like that, this would be the field that I would be interested in the most. Yeah, the gut microbiome, how it is influenced, what's the ways to influence it for the better, what's the ways to influence it for the worse, how does fasting influence it, how does all different kinds influence it, yeah, and what to strive for and this kind of stuff, because it's a huge, like if you were to extract DNA from your stool, okay, 50% of that DNA that you find in your stool is unknown. It is unknown to us, yeah. So it's some sort of viruses, some sort of bacteria going on down there on average, yeah. So usually people vary between 30 and 60 or 70% of their feces, DNA-wise speaking, genome-wise speaking, is unknown. Yeah, can you picture that? I mean, that's amazing. That's a huge dark matter there. Dark matter is going on in your stool, literally. No, but it's actually a quite interesting subject. It's quite an interesting field, and it's definitely what I would get into once maybe I pick up the biology thing again and study this kind of stuff, because it's actually pretty interesting. And I think that you could help a lot of people. If you would figure this stuff out, you would actually get to the root cause of a lot of problems nowadays, and you could help a lot of people. And that's what it's all about, right? Encipher is back on stream. What's up, man? Servus, Manny. I'm wondering if you can give some of your thoughts about a good sleep and how it is involved in recovery. Importance of ATP body household, importance of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep is that, I think. Greetings. Yeah, so what I have definitely noticed is that the hours before midnight, I mean, that's also what's the saying, that's the general consensus, I think, in the scientific community, but the hours before midnight seem to have a profound effect on recovery, yeah, of the body. Not only for athletes, but for people in general. So that's why usually you will hear that it's recommended to get to bed at 10 p.m., 9 p.m., something along these lines, because then you get at least 2-3 hours before midnight of sleep in. And then you have, I don't know, like these 1-2 hours of rapid eye movement sleep, and then you have a little bit more sleep. And if you get then in total like 8 hours on average, okay, per night, then you should be fine. If you get those 2-3 pre-midnight hours in, yeah. What can I say in my experience? For me, it really varies, I must say. I could not yet find a rule or something that it goes after, that a law, so to speak, which lets me predict the quality of my sleep. Really, in some nights, it's just great. In some other nights, it's just not that good. Now we have the little one there as well. Yeah, the little one sleeps in our bed. We have a quite big bed, so it's no problem. But of course, I mean, when she wakes up and she cries a little bit, then you wake up as well. Yeah? And this of course disrupts your sleep. In the beginning, in the first few weeks, when she was a freshly newborn, so to speak, I mean, she would wake up like 5 times a night, yeah, to drink and to just check if we're there still and everything. So this is of course then taking away quality of your sleep. Yeah. Um, Nowadays it's not that hard anymore. I mean, she still wakes up in the night, but she's only waking up like 2-3 times or something. And then Mona breastfeeds her, and then everything is good again. Yeah, but of course, you're gonna notice that somehow. Yeah, if you're not waking up, you're at least noticing it subconsciously, and it impacts the quality of your sleep a little bit. Nevertheless, I've had great sleep when I was waking up during the night, and I've had miserable sleep when I was not waking up. Yeah. Also, when it comes to dreaming, I dream sometimes, but very often I don't dream at all. Um, Sometimes I sleep very well after eating very close to my bedtime. Sometimes I sleep very well after eating very distant from my bedtime, and vice versa. It's just very hard for me to find laws there, yeah, to go after. In general, I would recommend to have your last meal with a little bit of distance to your bedtime. Yeah, this seems to be having an impact there, definitely. But again, some people have a hard time sleeping well when their last meal is actually distant from their bedtime, because then they have an empty stomach already when they go to bed, which for a lot of people is something they need to have a good sleep. But for other people, they want to have that chilled, relaxed, cozy feeling of having something in their stomach when they go to bed. Yeah. So it's hard to give general recommendations there, but yeah, the hours before midnight, they seem to be very important. And of course, having very little blue light going into your eyes just before you go to bed is also helpful. Shut off the social media and stuff like that. Yeah. Do not have so much screen time before you go to bed. Something that works really well is actually reading, in my opinion. That's what we do lately a lot. We read from several books before bed, and just reading, it makes you just so beautifully tired. Also with your eyes, when you can't focus anymore and your eyes fall down and your eyelids fall down. That's just a very, very nice way to go to sleep. I have the feeling, just reading. Yeah, no caffeine, obviously. There's a lot of tiny little pieces in that puzzle, I guess. Yeah, 8 hours on average per night, getting as many hours pre-midnight as possible. That's what I can tell for sure is a good thing. For the ATP body household, I mean, I guess you mean the adenosine triphosphate regeneration and everything, but I haven't looked so deeply into that so that I could explain how sleep impacts that in any particular way. Yeah. Yeah. JK is back on stream. What's up, man? Hi, Manny. Are you motivated to try the classic 9As like Action Direct, Hubble sometime? I would definitely be motivated to try Action Direct because it's also relatively close to where I live. I mean, after all, it's in Bavaria, right? It's in the Franken Jura, which is from me now, I guess, 5 hours away of car ride. So yeah, would be definitely interesting to try that stuff. Hubble, it's so far away. I don't know if I ever get to there. Yeah, but if I would, why not? Yeah, I would definitely make for some good content. That's for sure. So yeah, we will see how we get there in the future. Paul B says, in Cypher, interesting question. Manny, did you try sleeping on the floor or without a pillow? I always sleep without a pillow, actually, or almost always I sleep without a pillow. I never use the pillow to lay my head down or something. I always use the pillow to lay when I'm laying on my belly. I use it to support one of my shoulders, the ones that I look towards to. When I'm laying on the belly and I look towards my left shoulder, I have the pillow below my left shoulder. and vice versa. And if I'm laying on the back, I don't have the pillow at all. I don't really like pillows. And I actually did sleep on the floor for quite some time, back when I was like, I don't know, when was it? I was 18, I think. I was still living with my mom, actually. And I think it was because of this stupid mattress that I had in my bed, it was just such a super soft mattress, and I couldn't stand it anymore. And I had this carpet on my floor in my room, I remember. And at some point, I simply just took, I think I took one of my two blankets from the bed, and put it on my carpet. Then I slept on that blanket, and I was using the second blanket for, covering myself, and that's it. And it was quite hard. And that's when I discovered that I actually like, sleeping on hard ground. Maybe not as hard as on the pure floor or something, but the mattress that I have nowadays in my side of the bed is also quite tough. It's quite hard. I like it that way. Yeah. I think that it's also probably a lot healthier for your spine and everything, compared to a super soft mattress where you just sink in all the time. Yeah. I also have these when I'm sleeping, for example, somewhere else, in a hotel, or I don't know, somewhere else anyway, and I have a very soft mattress. It's really like, I don't like it. Yeah, I don't wake up as flexible and as nicely as I do when I sleep on my wonderful hard mattress here. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. Arlasse 2 comes with another question. My left hand is stronger, and if I train my right hand more to make it catch up, I get overuse injuries. And training my left hand less would be silly. Exactly. How do you overcome the imbalance? Not at all, I think. Not at all. I mean, there's a reason why you have the imbalance in the first place, right? It's just that, genetically speaking, one of your hands is just it's just better blood flow, better bone density, better neurological innervation. Just everything is just built better in that kind of hand. I have the impression. On some people, this is more prominently, it's more prominent. On other people, it's less prominent. But we all have this kind of imbalance somehow. Yeah. I have not yet met a person that is not that has not some sort of imbalance going on. Yeah. So, and as I said, I even built my symmetry problems on my training board, and they did not get rid of this imbalance at all. I just think that we have to roll with it. Yeah. It's interesting. It's good to know what you are weaker at and what you are stronger at, which hand is better at which. Yeah, it's good to know, so that you don't get depressed when you run into something that's your anti-style on the outdoors, and you think, man, this edge is not so small, why can't I hold it? Well, it's because maybe it's hitting your left hand, and your left hand is weaker, or I don't know. If you know that, that's good. But to get rid of it, again, it would be silly to stop training your stronger hand, while at the same time training your weaker hand into an injury. They are just a little bit apart. Yeah, you gotta roll with it. Paul B says, Stanislav Grof is a psychiatrist with over 60 years of experience in research of non-ordinary states of consciousness, and one of the founders and chief theoreticians of transpersonal psychology. That sounds like some deep stuff, man. Non-ordinary states of consciousness. So you mean when you meditate and you get the psychokinesis or going on, or stuff like that? Actually, you know what I would propose? Psychiatrists, a good psychiatrist should also be an expert in freaking gut biology and microbiome, because a lot of nutcases out there, I tell you, they've got some sort of underlying gut problem going on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. In the meantime, we know in the meantime that there is a huge connection between the gut and the brain, the gut-brain axis, they call it. And in the end, it's these microbes in your gut that can make you feel happy on the one hand. On the other hand, they can make you feel depressed. Yeah. And what you feed them obviously matters also a lot. But it's also just the kind of strains that you have down there. Yeah. These kind of small guys that are working for you, they are producing nutrients for you. They are also producing toxins. And this is taken up into your body and transported, some of it probably very directly into your brain. Neurotransmitters, dopamine, whatnot. Yeah, the whole plethora of transmitters, hormones, whatnot. So if you're a good psychiatrist, you also should take a look, in my opinion, at the gut. Yeah? And what is this person eating? Could that potentially cause any problems? Yeah? So just to throw that out there, I think it's pretty interesting. EMAC4D says, what do you think about legumes? Trying to lower meat intake, but usually feel sluggish after. You mean after the legumes or after the meat? Where did you take your proteins back when you were vegan? To be very honest with you, I think that protein intake does not really matter, regardless whether you're vegan or not vegan or whatever you are. Yeah? As a rock climber, at least. As a rock climber, we never want to get that big so that protein becomes an issue. In fact, probably lowering protein, if anything, is good for climbing performance, because it's very, these kind of diets, the very low protein diets, they tend to be very catabolic. And this is the look that a good climber wants to go for, actually, the marathoner. Yeah, this very lean physique, very lightweight, lean guys. Not a lot of muscle, but very strong muscle. Yeah, very dense muscle, very explosive muscle and everything. Not this kind of slow, bulky, static things which you see a lot with strongman and stuff like that, right? We not kind of want to go for that. We want to be light and lean. And low protein diets do this stuff quite well. However, I will say that for general health and for for well-being and fertility and just having a well-rounded mood and being satisfied with your meals as well. This is another big point. Yeah, eating a little bit more protein is really helpful on all of these areas. Yeah? So I would not go so far to say that all protein is bad or anything, but in terms of athletic performance, really, especially for climbing, obviously, getting the carbs in, for example, for me personally, is much more important for my performance than getting my protein in or stuff like that. I also never counted it. Yeah, I tried some vegan protein powders back then because I wanted to see if it makes any difference. It didn't. Yeah. And I did not pay attention to protein at all. I ate my rice with vegetables. I ate my noodles with vegetables. You can go back to my old videos and see what I ate pretty much 99% of the time. Yeah, no processed meats, not a lot of tofu or stuff like that. Maybe here and there a little bit, but not a lot. It's basically potatoes with vegetables, noodles with vegetables, rice with vegetables. And apparently that had enough protein to sustain my athletic abilities, which back then already were quite significant. Yeah, I was quite strong in regards to climbing already back then. However, I was a lot lighter. I was in the 63, 64-ish range with my kilograms, which is a good 4 to 5 kilograms lighter than I am nowadays. And I attribute this weight gain to the different diets that I have nowadays, yeah, which contains a lot more animal products, a lot more fats, a lot more, a lot more of the dense, good stuff. Yeah. Again, not particularly beneficial for climbing performance, but very beneficial for overall health and well-being, fertility, and stuff like that, yeah, which is also important in life, believe it or not. And funnily enough, although I'm quite significantly heavier these days. I'm still performing at that same level as I did back then, or even one could say even stronger than back then, right? But yeah, so I would say, where did you take your proteins back when you were vegan? I would say it's in the rice, it's in the potatoes, it's in the noodles. Yeah, that's where it was. I mean, fruits and all that. Protein is everywhere. Protein is literally in everything. As long as you can digest it and stomach it and take it up, it's literally everywhere, man. It's, I think, the least you have to worry about. You should worry about other stuff when you are going into the vegan direction, which is vitamin B12, all the fat soluble vitamins, yeah, A, D, E, K. These vitamins are super low on a vegan diet. Now the vegans will tell you, oh well, there's so much vitamin A in carrots, and yeah, but that's the that's actually the plant colorants. Okay, these still have to be converted in your body to the real vitamin A, which is I think alpha tocopherol. It's the name, if I get that correctly. And this you have to do inside of your body. And some people seem to be genetically not that well adapted to this kind of converting process. So they really struggle with vitamin A, for example, on a vegan diet. Nobody is telling that to them. Yeah, they just run into all sorts of issues down the line. Yeah, fat soluble vitamins extremely important. What else is there? Calcium, yeah, super important. Zinc, all these kind of minerals. Iron, also very important for females, yeah, who have regular bloodings and stuff like that. It's a number of issues that you should worry a lot more about when you're trying this kind of vegan experiment than protein. Protein is not much of an issue. It's very abundant on all sorts of diets. Even on a fruitarian diet, you get quite good protein. Yeah, when you actually look at it. Not to say that I recommend the fruitarian diet. Yeah, just bringing that up as an example. Spread Love says it's not a good idea to base your protein intake on veggies. Again, I never had any issues with it. Yeah. What you could see back then is that I was incredibly shredded and incredibly lean. One could say I had an unhealthily lean look. My face was really sunken in. I had very spiky cheekbones coming out at times, and this is just a sign of constant fat depletion, so to speak. Yeah, very little fat in the body. This is when you get into the low 8% body fat or stuff like that, which is where I was at back then. I can remember, I think after the Mission 8B, where I was dry fasting and stuff, I arrived at I think at around 7% body fat or something. This is what my scale was showing me. I know these scales are super inaccurate and everything, but I could see the numbers going down. Yeah, so I had a reference point from the past. I was just super shredded, yeah? And I'm pretty sure that nowadays I don't weigh myself this often anymore, but I think at least up in the tens, yeah, the 10% body fat. So a lot healthier body composition in general. Yeah, you need these kind of fats to create hormones, to be a little bit more cold resistant as well. I was always cold back then. Nowadays I'm never cold, even if it's very cold outside and I'm outside. And yeah, I'm also obviously a little bit more cold tolerant in when I'm on very cold bouldering adventures. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. Protein is definitely not the biggest concern, I would say. MC the Bus, aka Milan, says, "What do you think about monogamy versus polygamy?" That's an interesting question, man. That's an interesting question. Who? It's actually interesting if you take a look at society. Oh man, the live stream receptacle, it goes already to an end. Looking at society, I would say this. One way to if you are a ruler, yeah, I mean, as soon as we have civilization, yeah, we have a ruler, we have a ruling class. As soon as we have civilization, we have a ruling class, and then we have a class that is to be ruled, right? And if the ruling class wants the class that is to be ruled, at a somewhat peaceful level, which is necessary because only then they can uphold their power, making polygamy illegal is actually a pretty smart move. Here's why. Because in a monogamous system, since we have 50% man and 50% females, roughly speaking, there's gonna be a lid for every pot, as we say in German. Jeder Topf findet seinen Deckel, okay? And that's what monogamy does. Yeah, it gives there's a reasonable chance that everybody's gonna find a mate and everybody's gonna be happy like that. Yeah, which is especially important for the male population, because a male population that is kept single too long will get very they will get very aggressive. Yeah, they will get very not satisfied. They are not satisfied with the situation. They want to get married, they want to make a family and stuff like that. Their instincts like that is very strong, yeah, and that's only natural, of course. That's actually a good thing. So what the ruling class does by making polygamy illegal, by making monogamy, what's the word, mandatory, yeah, is that it gives every lid their pot. It gives every pot their lid, and so everybody is happy. When we have a polygamy society, a polygamous society, or whatever you want to call it, it is not that way. Yeah, the guy with the most resources will get the most wives. Yeah, will get the most women. So then we can have one kind of guy who hoards a lot of resources, having like 20 women or something, having 20 families essentially, or having one big harem, right? One big harem, one big family. Well, that means there's 19 other guys out there who have no wife, yeah, who have no family. And all these 19 other guys, they're going to be pretty pissed about the situation. They're going to be more aggressive. They're going to be more, not going after the law, more problematic overall. Yeah. That's why if we have a very civilized society, in a very civilized society, we have usually monogamy mandatory, and less civilized societies, very tribal societies, often, okay, we have polygamous systems, yeah, and I would not say that one of the two is better than the other necessarily. It's just different systems in which these things can prevail. I would say that even thinking about polygamy, it's not necessarily a bad thing if the guy who really is the best guy, okay, the fittest guy, the one with the most hunting success, the one with therefore the most resources, yeah, will get the most opportunity to procreate. This is actually not a bad thing. Yeah, this again, he passes on this kind of fitness to his offspring, and this in the end will lead to a very fit population, yeah, in a very short period of time, because the selective pressure on males is extremely high in a polygamous society. Yeah. You gotta be top notch to acquire access to procreation in this kind of society, and this increases the fitness very quickly. The problem with nowadays that I see with polygamy is that usually the guys who have nowadays a lot of wives are just simply guys with a lot of money, yeah, with a lot of resources in the sense of monetary gains. And the problem is, that's unfortunate, but that's reality. You can be a complete idiot and have a lot of money. Yeah. So this kind of bypasses the evolutionary the evolutionary pressure that actually should be at work here. And then we're running into problems again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Genghis Khan, who had, I don't know, like 50 wives or something, or 100 wives, and like 1,000 children, or stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that Genghis Khan was a pretty badass. It was a pretty badass dude, riding his freaking horse, shooting his bow, and being a fucking warrior. Freaking epic dude. I mean, I am not mad at him or anything for his procreating success, because he freaking earned it. The problem is that nowadays we've gone away from these very real values, which is real fitness, natural fitness, towards artificial values, towards artificial fitness, you could call it, which is money and resources. And just because one guy has a lot of money, actually quite often the opposite is true. Yeah, often nowadays we have people who have a lot of money, which are extremely spoiled brats and idiots out there. Yeah, so if these guys have more access to reproduction than the hard-working, diligent dude who actually has a good character, and just is because he had not had access to the same opportunities that this guy is at a not as favorable life circumstance, so to speak, just because of that he has less access to procreation. This is just simply unfair. Yeah. Therefore, yeah, I say this all the time. We need equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. Yeah. In an ideal society, everybody has the same chances, and everybody can prove himself the same way. Yeah, and with these artificial values that we have nowadays, this is kind of hijacked, unfortunately. But yeah, this is what I think about monogamy versus polygamy. To be honest, it's not really the question whether one is better than the other. Instinctively speaking, naturalistically speaking, I would rather go with the fact, or with the assumption, that we are a rather polygamous species, although I would say that this is also very different depending on the cultures that we look at, even if when we look at indigenous cultures, yeah, around the planet. And again, the more civilized you become, the more monogamous you need to become as well, because then you have to keep this crowd of males, of unmarried males, under control somehow. And this you do by making monogamy mandatory. Yeah. However, a polygamous society does not mean that it's something bad if the procreation goes to the really best guys. Yeah. And then you have tournaments, then you have to have fights and everything to really figure out who's the best guy, and this guy then gets all the beautiful princesses and stuff like that. Yeah, this is also a good system, because again, it creates a lot of fitness very quickly, ideally. That's how I think about it. And Paul B says, do you know the success of Ham and Egg goes back to Edward Bernays, the founder of propaganda? Just read his book. The success of Ham and Eggs. That sounds interesting. The success of Ham and Eggs. I mean, that sounds like a success that is already pretty old. I mean, when did this Edward Bernays guy live? The founder of propaganda. I just read his book. Is propaganda the book or what? Average Climber says, after turning vegetarian, I noticed my farts were either loud and odorless or silent killers. Yeah, I would only have the loud and odor. Oh, actually, I also had the silent and odorless stuff. But it would be rather voluminous. Okay, let's call it that way. It would be voluminous either way, but it would always be odorless. That's what my experience was on a vegan diet. To be completely honest here. The silent killers only appeared once I started mixing stuff again. Paul B says, when sleeping, do you keep distance to Mona and stay on your side of the bed, or you sleep close together? I don't want to ask a creepy question here. However, I myself have a girlfriend and I enjoy the contact, but I also like space. Yeah, the same goes for me, man. I really like the space as well. Yeah. I mean, some cuddling here and there is a good thing in the evening and in the morning and everything. But in the night, I mean, if you're sticking together like this for like 3 hours and stuff, that's not really convenient, right? I mean, that's then your arm starts to become numb or something because she's laying on top of it or anything like. I mean, I don't like that a lot. Yeah, when sleeping is good to have your partner very close, but you don't necessarily need to lay on top of each other. This kind of cuddling stuff can be in the evening and in the morning in my opinion, but during my sleep I also like to have my space. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Paul B says, videos or book recommendations on the gut thing. Have to go off now. Thanks again for the stream. Watching the rest later. The gut thing, you could read the gut and psychology syndrome from Natasha Campbell McBride, I think is her name. She is the GAPS diet founder or something like that. She apparently she treated a lot of people with her diet, which is very low in fiber, very low in vegetables and stuff like that, very low in gluten, in all sorts of irritants essentially that could irritate your gut, right? I don't know if that's really the best approach. For me, the best approach would be to tackle the dysbiosis, get rid of the dysbiosis, and then as soon as possible, get the gut fit enough again to stomach everything. Yeah. And then slowly but surely incorporating more and more foods again to see that your gut is really becoming strong again and have a broad foundation on which you can build your health. In that way, I'm also quite critical when it comes to elimination diets in general. Yeah, a lot of people can get rid of a lot of problems on a carnivorous diet, for example. You can see this nowadays all across the internet. More and more people going into this experiment, yeah, because they have all sorts of issues. A lot of them coming out of veganism, vegetarianism, whatever. They have wrecked guts from all the fiber, from all the gluten, or what it is, all the anti-nutrients in plants, whatever. People have their own stories, yeah. But they can get rid of a lot of symptoms on a carnivorous diet, as it seems. However, once they try to introduce plants again, all their symptoms come back. Yeah, their symptoms come back. So it just seemed to be the case that yes, the carnivore diet is able to reduce those symptoms quite significantly, but it doesn't really get to the root cause of the problem. And I believe that one of these root causes is actually dysbiosis of some sort. Maybe it's a parasite that you've contracted during your vegan days, or maybe it's an suboptimal type of bacteria that's working down there. Maybe you've got bacteria somewhere where it doesn't belong. For example, maybe some kind of bacteria traveled through your colon into your small intestine or something like that, where it doesn't belong. All sorts of issues like that, yeah, could cause all sorts of symptoms. People should address this stuff instead of treating these symptoms with a carnivorous diet. Obviously, if you're getting rid of a lot of fiber and a lot of carbs, well, then you're going to see a lot less symptoms. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you have gotten rid of the problem. Yeah, you could read the GAPS diet. It's definitely interesting. Apart from that, I haven't really found any good books. And I also don't think that this book really goes into that detail that I would like to have it. But truth be told, I mean, you got to be fair here. This is just a completely new area in general. Yeah, there's not so much science out there still about this stuff, and even the things that are out there is still they have to admit that again we don't know 50% of the DNA that comes out of our stools. Yeah, on average. So it's a huge dark matter here that is still to be discovered. Yeah. Cypher says, interesting hypothesis, Manny, to connect psychiatry with gut healthiness and nutrition. Definitely, man. This is actually something which postulates Dr. Robert Lustig in Die bittere Wahrheit über Zucker. Yeah, sugar has a huge impact on that, definitely, because sugar kicks you into the sugar roller coaster, and we know that people who have a low blood sugar are just more irritable. Yeah, they are just more pissed a little bit. They are just a little bit of a pain to hang out with. Yeah. A lot of people can attest to that. They get kind of hangry. Okay, they get angry when they are hungry. This is a low blood sugar, essentially. So sugar kicks you into this roller coaster. Yeah, so definitely handling with caution is a good thing. Matthias Ladstätter says, Servus Mani. How are climbing conditions around Graz? Here in Osttirol, we have 1.5 meters snow in front of our doors, so no climbing here. Dude, around Graz, it's today it started to rain, actually quite a lot. And I think it's going to be very cold and very wet really soon here next week. But it was actually pretty good just today, and the day before yesterday, it was amazing. Very warm, and you could do some stuff. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wasn't here in Graz, as you've seen in the video. We were at the Hohe Wand in Lower Austria, which had amazing conditions as well. It was 12, 13 degrees, lots of wind, lots of sun, just amazing for sport climbing, really. But now it's going to be a lot colder. It's going to be a lot wetter as well again. So I think the next few sessions are going to happen indoors on the hangboard and the home wall again. 1.5 meters snow again in Osttirol. You've had a pretty cold winter, haven't you had it, huh? You've had a lot of snow, I think. It was also in Osttirol where you had the minus 24 degrees or something, right? Crazy winter again, man. Pickle Rick is back on stream. What's up, man? Good evening, Manny. What's your opinion on the Wim Hof method and all the hype around it? I think it's overrated, to be honest. I don't see the purpose really of jumping into ice cold water and then just freezing your ass off and all this kind of stuff. I think that the immune response you might or might not get from that, if anything, is a response of your body trying to mitigate the damage that you've just created by jumping into ice cold water. Also, this breathing and hyperventilating and enriching your body with oxygen and whatnot. I mean, if it would make us that much fitter, then our body would kind of make this on his own by default already, right? Why do we have to condition ourselves, essentially brainwash ourselves into breathing more, jumping into cold water, running around, jumping into the snow? I mean, if that would be so great, then would be. I mean, we would do this instinctively, right? From our own. You could argue, well, why do you climb a freaking 8C route then, right? Your body is also not instinctively asking for an 8C climb. Yes, and that's why I also don't postulate that climbing an 8C or climbing an 8C plus or anything is healthy or anything. Yeah, I do this kind of stuff because it's cool to be able to do that, but it's of course not healthy or anything. It's not necessary to be healthy. Just like jumping into a freaking ice cold water is also not necessary to be healthy. If it was, again, we would do this instinctively, I think. Yeah. So I think it's overrated. There's definitely a hype going on around it. Also here in Austria, people are jumping into all sorts of snow and cold. I mean, yeah. It's, in my opinion, it just costs calories, right? It costs you very valuable calories, and I mean, it really just stresses the body, I think. Matthias Ladstätter says, yeah, it snowed today again, but not that much. The minus 24 degrees was 2 in my village. Haha, yeah. Crazy stuff, man. Our village is again closest because of avalanche danger. Pretty hard winter. Yeah. It's crazy to see, man. Pickle Rick says, that's exactly my opinion. You can jump into cold water if you have fun, but in the end, it's a hobby and nothing more. Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it's cool to be able to do that, right? It's also cool to be able to swim from France to Great Britain over the Ärmel Canal in, I don't know, like 10 degrees warm ocean water or stuff like that. Is amazing display of fitness, but is it healthy? No, of course not. Yeah, I mean, this is just pushing your body to the extreme and stuff like this is never healthy long term. It's a sort of training. That's how I see it. It's amazing what you can train your body to be able to do. Yeah, this is just amazing. However, it really doesn't go into your health positively. If it would, you would do this stuff instinctively, and since we don't have this kind of instinct, instead we're quite put off by it, right? I mean, nobody likes to jump in the ice cold water. We're quite put off by that kind of stuff. So that's probably telling you, you should probably rather stay away from it. Torma Sabina says, welcome to the stream. That's definitely a new name. Hi, what's the most painful thing you've ever been told? That's a hard question. I think I've never been told super painful stuff. I mean, in terms of that I got offended. Like, especially nowadays, it's very hard to offend me, really. Maybe somebody said to me, I will never climb 9A or something like that. I will never climb at 9A. That hurt a little bit, in my heart. But again, I took it and transformed this pain into motivation, into raw, crazy, pure training motivation. And that's what I'm doing nowadays. I'm just getting balls to the wall strong, turn and burn. We're keeping this train going, my friend. We're keeping it running into oblivion, man. We're going to increase the finger strength beyond the genetic limit. We're going to get strong as hell, and then we're going to wait for the conditions to come back. And this is going to happen. I can feel it already. I can feel the spring coming. I can feel the rock drying up. I can feel it drying up, and then we're going to focus the pain. We're going to focus the pain from this statement. You will never climb a 9A. I'm going to transform all the pain of that into raw, pure forearm musculature, and we're going to hit the dry rock in the spring here in the Graz area. I can already feel it. I can already see it. I foresee painful sessions, painful checkout sessions on the search for a 9A project that is doable. And then we're going to attack it. And eventually we're going to start a series. It will be called Mission 9A. And we're going to have a lot of fun. My friends, we arrived on the bottom of the chat. The live stream receptacle is going to be empty very soon. I want to thank you all for joining the stream today. It was a fun stream again. Thanks for posting your questions. If you're still here, drop a like on the stream. That's always appreciated. I wish you a good night. Yeah, it's already 11 o'clock in the PM here in Austria. And we gotta get my sleep at some point. Yeah, already the voice is also starting to crack. So I hope, my friends, so much manliness, my testosterone rises. Yeah, that's exactly how we want to end the stream, my friend. Joined right when it was gonna end. Manvir Saini, yeah. Sorry, my friend. You gotta come earlier. Have a good night, Pickle Rick. Gutes Nächtle für dich auch, says in Cypher. Yeah, you too, my friends. Was a great stream. Again, stay strong, keep crushing. Don't be put off. Don't be demotivated by the crazy circumstances. We know it. Times are rough. We gotta stay strong. Transform it into, it's like with, was it Jiu-Jitsu or what was it? No. Hapkido was it? I don't know. When they take the force of the enemy and then they turn it around and put it against them, you gotta harvest this force that is coming onto you, and then you turn it against them, and you reach new possibilities. Yeah, you reach new possibilities. It's gonna be epic. I could say so much more epicness now, but anyway, now you go to sleep first of all, and then you have a good recovery. We talked about that as well, how to do that. And then we're going to see you next time. Look out for the next live streaming reminder. Maybe it's going to happen next week. If it's not happening next week, then it's going to happen the week after the next week. I think next week could be a little bit busy. But again, just look out for the reminder. My friends, see you soon. Stay strong. Bye.